Vladimir Guerrero Jr., welcome to the 30 Home Run Club. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 213 of Buds and Blue Jays. It's your place for all things related to the Toronto Blue Jays. Jesse Burrell, joined as usual by Jesse Turiso, and today on the show, the season for Bo Bichette is officially over. He came, he left, just like that. Daulton, Varsho, and Will Wagner, the season is over for them as well, so we'll talk about their season as a whole. As mentioned, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. joined the 30 Home Run Club. Leo Jimenez got hit by a bunch more pitches in this series. Jonathan Clase is up with the big league for a cup of coffee, and plus we've got rapid-fire questions to end the episode here. Jesse, a lot on tap for this episode. What's up, my guy? How are you?
Well, it's going. It's been a long day. Worked this throughout the day. Now I'm here. Watch the Jays. Thankfully, on my breaks and caught up on it. Being home, trying to figure out and compress everything that's gone on in the last 3 days before the scene.
I mean, last time we did an episode, you slept through the whole third game of the finale, and I actually took a power nap through a bit of the game today. So I woke up and found out Kevin Gausman was throwing a no-hitter all of a sudden to see he's not in the game anymore. So that was fun to try to piece together what exactly had happened, but we will dive into all of that. But Jesse, we have a ton to get to on this in this episode here. There's only 9 games left for the Toronto Blue Jays. And before we start talking Bo, Varsho, and what this means for them going forward, I just want to ask you a simple question. Jesse, the Blue Jays are 72-80 as the record stands right now. What is our record after these 9 games?
I would love to be 500, but I probably would say maybe 79 and 84.
Oh, that's all right. So yeah, that means we go on a good run here. I believe the math is wrong because that adds up in an odd number, but 79 and 83 sounds about right for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, that works.
We're playing pretty good or pretty easy opponents. Like, no one's in a playoff position here. The Blue Jays have been pretty hot lately. I can see it. I like that call. Part of me wants us to go on like a 10-game winning streak, finish 82 and 80 just to get above 500, but it's probably best that we lose games right now to lower that draft pick odds anyway. All right, Jesse. Well, some big news of the series, and let's just dive right into it, is Bo Bichette made his return. It was a long time. We wanted to see Bo Bichette come back and get healthy. He was making comments in the dugout pregame. I'm just so happy to be back. This is going to put me in a great step forward to get ready for next season. And then, as quickly as it happened, it was shut down as he took a ground ball off the finger, warming up for game 2 in this series, has a finger contusion, and is now officially done for the season. So, Jesse, I guess I want to hear what your thoughts are on Bo Bichette and what this means for him going forward into next year and into the offseason.
It was short but sweet, but everything neat. Believe it or not. It was cool to see him back for the one game, I guess. But then finding out that he had that finger contusion, and later on that it was a fracture in that finger. Made me feel like, and then hearing how he did, it's like maybe just think of Brett Lawrie when he broke his finger during his hot streak when he first came with the Jays. And it was good to see him back, but he didn't. It wasn't like he was showing power or anything like that. A couple of infield hits. He was there. It was neat. Probably could have done without him, with knowing that it's only a one-gamer game with him. But the one thing I did notice, though, with him was he looked a lot bigger. I don't know if it was just me not seeing him for a while, but he looked bigger.
Yeah, I've heard. I didn't get that sense watching Bo Bichette, but I have heard from some people online commenting on his weight. I've never been one to want to comment on people's weight. I've never liked doing that. But these are athletes at the top of the world, and sometimes when your body looks different, it does affect how you play a little bit. My thing with Bo Bichette is I noticed that he stopped doing the leg kick, because remember before he had a very big animated leg kick, and it was one game for Bo still, but he had kind of eliminated that leg kick and went more to the toe tap. And I wonder, he made some comments pregame and to our friend Keegan Matheson about how he really talked to Dante Bichette during his time off, and he really wanted to go back and work on his swing a little more. And we've mentioned that the best Bo Bichette ever looked was when he was taking lessons from Dante Bichette. So maybe there is something there too. I don't know. It's tough when you're off for that long, Jesse. Like if you and I couldn't be that active, especially with a calf injury, which kind of puts you on your ass a little more, we'd probably both gain a little bit of weight too. So maybe that's what happened with Bo Bichette, and a good off season of training might make him a little better.
No, definitely. Like I'm not definitely not one to judge weight or anything like that. I was thinking it's just maybe it was just I hadn't seen him in a while, and maybe put on muscle or during his rehab
Sure.
and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, with him eliminating his leg kick, I was thinking he was just using his two strike like stance and like bang style just to alleviate pressure on that calf, so he doesn't re-aggravate it. That's
Possible.
where
Yep.
I was getting, because in the end of the season, while he gets a couple of games, like don't overdo it, and to get your timing up, use that two strike approach.
Makes a lot of sense. You could be onto something there. It's hard to take a lot from one game from Bo Bichette. He did make all the plays defensively as well, which was nice to see, even though he didn't have too many. I just want to get what your thoughts are on the newfound comments Bo Bichette made pregame here about how he's just so happy to be back. He feels like he's already won. He feels like he's a born again Christian, who just found Christ for the second time. And he's like, everything is fantastic. This is exactly where I want to be. I want to win a World Series with the Blue Jays. I want to be with Vlad. That was a big tone from when he was getting interviewed from guys on like the San Francisco Giants talking about, yeah, I want to play with a winner. What do you make of Bo Bichette's new comments here that he made pregame?
I feel like he's trying to retract like the sour taste from most of the fans that he caused with those comments earlier in the season, with his frustration of like being hurt and just everything that's going on with the team. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. And like, I was like, maybe this means he is open to maybe do like a bridge extension. So like, instead of the 10 years, 250, he probably would have got if you had a typical Bichette season. Maybe he'll do like a 5-year 100.
It's optimistic, my guy, but Bo Bichette is getting a big deal no matter what he says here. I think all it's best is that, you maintain your relationships with the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays maybe think more about, hey, maybe if this guy wants to be here, maybe we can retain him. That's what I thought. It kind of sounded to me too like you've been in a long-term relationship with somebody, and then all of a sudden it's like you can feel them fading away a little bit, and then it's like you go to them and you promise like, no, I'll change. I swear I'm better. I'm fixed. And that's kind of what it felt like to me with Bo Bichette. But anyways, a lot to get to. We'll talk a lot of Bo Bichette this offseason, I am sure. Let's talk about the other two notable injuries that happened for the Toronto Blue Jays this series. Daulton Varsho and Will Wagner, both of them confirmed, done for the season. Will Wagner will have surgery on his knee. I believe he is going to Cleveland this week. Apparently, the Blue Jays knew about this knee injury before he was acquired at the trade deadline. So maybe that helps explain, too, why we were managing his workload and didn't start him against every single righty. Impressive season for Will Wagner with the injury. And Daulton Varsho with the shoulder. He apparently hurt it in, I believe it was that game Bowden Francis was throwing a no-hitter against the Angels. He made a dive for a play, just missed it, and tore his rotator cuff. That is a serious injury for Bo Bichette. For Daulton Varsho, and he could be looking at an extended recovery period this offseason. John Schneider says he hopes that he can make it into be ready to go for spring training, but he might miss a little bit of time come spring. What are your thoughts on the injury news from both Will Wagner and Daulton Varsho here?
That's definitely shocking to know that usually a trade they do like the physical, and that the Jays took that chance with a bum knee on Will Wagner. But also it helps to keep his rookie eligibility and arbitration 1 year less. So I'll definitely take that for the grain of salt, for the benefit of the doubt for the Jays organization, that we can control him a little bit longer, and maybe even he'll be the second rookie of the year for the Jays next year with him being eligible still.
Yeah, it's optimistic.
Varsho.
Go ahead.
And yeah, but for Varsho, how many times we see him crash in the wall, make the diamond catch, a leaping catch, just how much toll he put on his body all year, and it was a matter of time. It
was
for what he him crashing into a wall was a routine catch for us fans this year, which we enjoy seeing, and why it makes him a Platinum Glove, should be a Platinum Glove winner. Mm-hmm. Where it was a matter of time his body was going to say enough's enough, and him crying with Pete Alonso just was the icing on the cake or ice on the shoulder.
Yes, and that probably went hand in hand to the injury as well. True or false quickly on Daulton Varsho, he's still winning a gold glove, his first this year, right?
It should be his third, but yes.
Yes. Honestly, he probably should have a gold glove every year he's been in the major leagues, but I agree. I'm with you there. 2 questions on Daulton Varsho. The first one, if you isolated that was the date he got injured in that Angels series, then why in the world was he still playing, right? It was a lost season. You want to get a look at more looks at like Nathan Lucas, Joey Loperfido anyway. I don't think Daulton Varsho had anything left to prove here. Why was Daulton Varsho still playing in these games after the Blue Jays knew he had a rotator cuff injury? Can you answer that for me?
Probably just the mentality he has. Like he grew up playing football, so like me as well as myself playing football, you don't want to like the only way you're getting off the field is on a stretcher, kind of like what happened to Bo and Springer in that wild card series.
Don't remind
me.
That'd
be that's Mr. Mean, but like literally, I think he's just in the mentality like I'm going to give it all until I can't, and like now it's finally caught up to him, and like the pain was probably just too much to really handle, and like just couldn't recover as fast as he was before the collision and that. So it's just might as well get it done now, so he's back hopefully by the second week of spring training, if not the very beginning of the spring training.
Right, because if there's one thing we've learned, especially from the Blue Jay season this year, is that being healthy in spring training goes a long way, and you can have like lost seasons if you miss time in spring, and Daulton Varsho is going to be a very important part for our team next year, so we very much need him healthy. Let's look at their seasons as a whole for all 3 of these players. Bo Bichette, 81 games, 225, 277, 322, only 4 home runs, 0.3 WAR, a 77 WRC plus, a lost season for Bo Bichette. Daulton Varsho will finish his year with 136 games played, hit 214, a 99 WRC plus, 3.3 Fangraphs WAR. And Will Wagner in just his 24 games hit 305, a 125 WRC plus, 0.6 WAR for Will Wagner. What can you take away now that these 3 seasons are officially over for the Toronto Blue Jays? What are your takeaways on those players?
2024 can't end soon enough for Bo Bichette. That's the one thing.
Agreed.
When you have like Leo Jimenez like coming up like way after you, and he has more home runs than you, and like certain players like Loperfido having as many, Barger having more than you, it's like, or even Ernie Clement. Let's be real. No, like I knew he'd be good, but I didn't think he'd have double-digit home runs this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Varsho, it was the same as last year, but just a little bit better defense, and like it was just like. He was a defensive stalwart. Like I can't complain. Like he should have been our center fielder from day one, but obviously we had Hienemann there for the first bit. He had his hot streaks where he was Mr. Grand Slam or clutch home like game-winning home runs earlier in the season. It was fun to watch. Well, Wagner is going to be a treat coming next season. So if the Jays don't move him, or if we don't sign, say, William Thomas or Youngson Kim from the Padres in the offseason,
sure, yeah,
where we would have to put one of them either at second or move Bo to second.
Yeah, and we'll talk about what to do with all that in the offseason. I just thought it was very interesting to kind of think about this. And I'm looking at some names of players who have hit more home runs than Bo Bichette this season, and it's not great. Kevin Kiermaier has 5. Kevin Biggio has 5. Both are more than what Bo Bichette has hit this season. I don't know who Grant McRae is, but he's got more home runs than Bo Bichette this season. So there are just lots of options up there. All right, Jesse. Before we even dive into the series, the Blue Jays made some pretty big roster moves coming into the season. One, the waiver wire full of bullpen moves continues as the Blue Jays just keep churning their relievers, churning the back end of the 40-man. Right-handed pitcher Nick Robertson was claimed off waivers from the Angels, sent to Buffalo, which I don't know if we'll get into him here. He was part of the Tyler O'Neill trade. He's officially on the 40-man now. He'll probably get moved off before at some point in the season, but worth noting, he's in the system. Dillion Tate was called up. We can talk about him when we get to our bullpen report. And then I guess the 2 bigger moves that really do affect this team. One, Jonathan Clase is up here. I know you've wanted him up here for quite a while, so you can talk about him. And then also we DFA'd Brian Servin. And on last episode, we were talking about how if Brian Servin can't fill a good role on this team, then what's the point of having him here? Well, literally the next day we cut him, brought an old friend Tyler Hienemann. So those two guys, Jesse, Jonathan Clase, what do you want to see from him this last week of the season? And how do you feel about having Tyler Hienemann back on this team?
First, I'll start off with Hyman. It's like we got our magic man back. At least
literally
do some card tricks for the boys in the clubhouse and put on a show and just keep spirits up. In this time with a few stints with us, I have really never had any complaints about Hyman. But yeah, Jonathan Clase, one of the key piece of the Yumi Garcia trade. I definitely. He has power. He has speed. Yes, he probably needs to develop the on base at the big league levels. But last year in AA with the Mariners system, he had 20 home runs, 79 steals. Is that good?
Yeah.
You tell me. I'm just more I just want to see if a player like that and this speed we do have on our roster, when we have Varsho, a fully healthy Varsho, Ernie Clement, Lafrafino, Barger, these youths with all this speed, what the style of gameplay we can do, the havoc we could cause on the base path, and if Clase can figure out the on base stuff, I think you have your leadoff hitter with that speed, and almost similar to what you can see with Acuna Jr. with the Braves when he's healthy.
Sure. I mean, I don't think the upside is as high as Ronald Acuna Jr., but Ronald Acuna Jr. is one of a kind. So that's not saying much. It's interesting because I really love the tools. I love players with tools. That's why I can't quit Addison Barger, because I think the tools are just insane. Jonathan Clase has a ton of tools. He was just okay in Buffalo. He still has some developing to do here. Choose one for next season, Jonathan Clase or Stuart Baroa, if you could only have one.
Clase, just because he does have the more power than I would say than Baroa, and just is younger and just more electric on the base path, I believe.
I think I would too. I like Stuart Baroa. I'm happy he's part of this organization, but I would take what Jonathan Clase could be, and it would be nice to see him get into some games here in this last week of the season, just so the Blue Jays can get an idea of what he can really impact on the field with. All right, Jesse. A lot of stuff went on there. We've got to talk about the series. It's 18 minutes into our episode. We have not mentioned anything that's happened on the field for the Texas Rangers. So without further ado, my guy, who was your player of the series for the series win against Texas?
The one player that has performed all year, has to be Vladdy. The saving grace of 2 home runs today, numbers 29 and 30. He's only 1 RBI away from the 30 and 100 that I even said, and we were talking about in the offseason, that we need to have a 30-100 season at the minimum.
He's gonna get there.
And I was hearing on JSOC in the post game too, when Kevin Barker was saying, when he first saw Vladdy coming up in 2019, they asked him what he's going to be: 300 average, 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. That's who he's going to be. And his 2 MVP runner-up season and this year, that's exactly what he's been in. He's just been a treat all year, and even this series, the first few games wasn't great, but today showed why he's the face of the franchise.
I love it when Vladimir Guerrero Jr. absolutely squares up a baseball like he did in Game 3, and he knows it off the bat. I think his home run to center field was 430-something feet, and his swing is so violent but so nice, and he just knows. Absolutely love that for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I have some stats here. He has it's his 3rd season now of 30 home runs. I believe he's the only Blue Jay age 26 or younger to ever do that, so it's good to see that from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And I have a stat here. I just got to make sure I find it. It was, yes, so this one. So he's now got 160 home runs in his career, 500 RBIs, all up into his age 25 season. There have only been 20 other players in Major League history who have put up those type of numbers, and every single one of them is in the Hall of Fame or soon to be in the Hall of Fame, like Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, guys like that. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is an elite company, and even though he's had his up and down seasons so far, he really is pretty much becoming the guy we thought he could be growing up. So this is quite good for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And even though he was in a little bit of a slump coming in here, the 2 home runs today were nice to see.
Oh, definitely, and it gives us a bit of a bright spot for this dark season we've had.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to give a shout out. Now, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is absolutely the right answer, player of the series, but I wanted to give a shout out to 2 other Toronto Blue Jays players on the offensive side of the ball that caught my attention. First one, Davis Schneider, the guy we led the series with last episode. We talked about him. He hit another home run in this series, a big one at the time. It tied the game at 7 in game 1. 3 straight games with a home run for Davis Schneider. His overall number on the series was just 3 for 13. But hey, he was getting some love from John Schneider when Bo Bichette was a late scratch with that finger injury. John Schneider put Davis Schneider second in the lineup, so maybe he's getting back into those good grace a little bit. And I wanted to mention, too, a little bit on his defense. I'm pleasantly surprised with how Davis Schneider has looked in left field. Like, he doesn't get the best jumps. He's never going to be the fast, but his I want to go get that ball factor, if that's a real stat, impresses me with Davis Schneider as he made some good catches out in left field. Do you have a thought on him before I talk about my next player?
Just with that defense, I still don't understand that route he did the first batter of the game, causing yesterday with setting up. Like, what were you thinking on that double? Like, sorry, like you're like good defense.
He's not perfect.
The route he takes it, sees that route, you're just like, just keep it in front of you. Why are you trying to jump and get a hop on the ball? Like, just keep it in front of you and just let him have a single, not the double. Like, that was just.
Hey, he's still learning out there, but I'm genuinely impressed, and I can tell Davis Schneider has put in a lot of effort to be a better left fielder, so I wanted to make sure we got that in there. The other player that really impressed me this series, Addison Barger. Now, if you look at the stat line, it's just a modest 2 for 6. Doesn't look too crazy. He did strike out 3 times. He did hit a deep fly ball off Cody Bradford that would have been a home run in 12 other parks, including Rogers Center. Just Adolis Garcia made a great catch on him. And then he made an elite diving play at third base where it was like one quick step and a dive. I haven't since maybe Josh Donaldson was around here. Like, it's been that long since I've seen that. And then the arm, obviously, he has the strongest throw a Blue Jay has made all season, gunning it across the diamond to get the out. Addison Barger has really impressed me with what he's been able to do, and I do think the power outside is real. We knew that. We still love Addison Barger. It's just he showed another glimpse of it in this series.
Oh, exactly. Like, that ball he hit the other game where Garcia robbed him, I was like, I got off my couch. So I'm like, yep, that's gone. I was ready to be like, yep, and this is why we're the Barger boys, and
that's right.
Make the post and be like, that's my MVP, and like even I tell people they're like, you're crazy. I'm like, trust me, like he's a real deal, like, and all that, and then seeing that defense too, like maybe he'll be Gold Glove, add a Gold Glove to his resume too, with either at third or in right with that arm and. A baseball IQ too. Like, I still remember that play in Minnesota where he had the smarts to get the ball from Jimenez to gun out.
Right. When he was in right field.
When he was in right, and to gun out Austin Martin when he was trying to get it first, even though it was a dead ball. But they're like the IQ and even the abilities is just like another toolsy player like that we both love.
I know it'll never happen, but I would really love the Blue Jays to go into take the right field position next year and just platoon George Springer with Addison Barger, where Springer will only face lefties and Barger will face all the righties. Because they owe George Springer so much money, but I would love to see that. And I think if the Jays were serious about putting the best 9 together, they would do that more often. Some other hitters in this series, Spencer Horwitz went 4 for 13. I hit a double in there. George Springer had a triple, 3 for 8. He also got picked off in this series, which I didn't love to see. Ernie Clement had a kind of tough one. He made an error in game 1, 3 for 13, hit into a double play with the bases loaded and no one out. Nathan Lucas only had 1 hit. I think it was 1 for 7 with 2 RBIs in that one. Leo Jimenez went hitless. Tyler Hienemann hitless, although he did draw 2 walks in his 1 start, so good for him. And Leo Jimenez, who we'll touch on a little bit later, did get hit by 2 pitches, but also went hitless in this series. So out of any of those extra players we have yet to talk about, was there a standout there?
Hienemann was doing more than serving it just in one game. Yeah,
Perfect.
he got on base and like just and it gave me the opportunity to like put the starting pitchers or relief pitchers in the stretch, and just like Lisa's having productive at bats instead of 3 easy pitches. Yeah, Ernie Clement did like the only gripe I have is when we had the second and third with no outs, and he couldn't. He was one of the 3 players that couldn't drive the run in to give us the lead.
Yeah, I mean, he's been so good all season, so I do want to cut him some slack there. But it was frustrating at the time watching that, especially when Ernie Clement has such good bat to ball skills. You really do want to see that. I want to mention Joey Loperfido here, who 6 at bats. Well, aside from a walk, but he went 0 for 6 with 5 strikeouts in this series for Joey Loperfido. In fact, if you go back his last 5 games, he's 1 for 15 with 8 strikeouts. I want to do an upside check. I know the Blue Jays are still very high on Joey Loperfido. How are you feeling about Joey Loperfido and his future?
I do see the upside that the coaches in front office seeing him. Mm-hmm. But I think he still needs some marinating down in the minors, even though like next season possibly just to like really hone like his like playing left, or even if we're moving him to a different position, like because he also can play second and first. Like just hone that and like just get the fundamentals for his bat, like and figure out what's really going on with that swing of his, so he can have the best results. Like be in the lab with Matt Hagg all off season. Like I feel like that would do magic for him.
Yeah, there are tools there, but it's tough when he's walking less than 5% of the time and striking out 35% of the time as Joey Loperfido. You can have all the tools in the world, but until those numbers, you start to see that increase, it's going to be tough for him to see him as a very good major league player. And he's doing all that too with a elevated BABIP as well. So even if that number goes down, then it's going to look even worse from Joey Loperfido. I think he has to really earn a spot on this team next year and should not be automatically given one. All right, Jesse, let's talk some pitching here. 3 games, 3 starters. I'll let you take the floor. Chris Bassett, Bowden Francis, and Kevin Gausman all had starts in the series. Who did you want to talk about first?
I definitely talk about Bowden Francis. Yes, the no got taken away like the first batter game, unfortunately. So probably a lot of people just turn off the game after that. I even made the joke. I was saying literally, well, now what I'm going to do? Like, what's the point of watching? But I'm right. I still watch the game. No, like it was good. Like he only gave up the 2 runs, which in most cases your team usually scores more than 2 runs. But it is the Jays, and our offense likes to disappear once in a while, or most of the season, I should say. But he did his part. Like I can't complain. Like he's not going to go no hitter all the time. Yes, we would love it, but he did his job. He looked good. It was another game where his velo looked down, so maybe that's a bit of fatigue coming in from all the pitches he's thrown this past month and a half. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Like if they're going to start limiting his like pitch count and all that, just because of fatigue and how late we're in the season. And definitely something we definitely need to see in come spring to see what he does to make him be able to pitch the 150 innings or more will be next season, and possibly in more high leverage games.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that Bowden Francis velocity was down as well. I'm not taking too much of this because it was also down in the start against the Mets where he took a no-hitter into the 9th inning. He didn't throw his splitter much, and I don't know if that was by design or whatnot, but Bowden Francis has really taken this big step forward when he started throwing his splitter more, and he didn't throw it a ton in this series. And he's mentioned several times too about, I'm getting fatigued. I'm getting a little tired. And, if you're still tired, you're down the stretch. You maybe got one more start after this one, and you're still putting together 6 innings of only 2 earned runs allowed. That'll work from Bowden Francis. So happy to see that there. I want to talk about Kevin Gausman's start this afternoon. 5 innings pitched, no hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks. He was cruising through the first few innings there. And this is when about the time today I took my nap and I woke up and I heard that Kevin Gausman had a no-hitter going through 4, or he was perfect through 3 or something. And then all of a sudden it's the 6th inning and I'm up there and I'm watching, I think it was Ryan Burr on, no, it was Dillion Tate was on the mound, and I was like, what in the world's going on with Gausman here? Apparently, back injury. He tweaked it a little bit doing a warm-up pitch. Seems to be okay. He will be ready to make his next start. Gausman made some comments post-game about how it was a really weird day for him. He didn't think that today was going to be a day he was going to throw a no-hitter with how bad he felt physically. He has no idea how he didn't give up hits, to be honest. This is not the first time we've heard Kevin Gausman say this, too. I feel like his start where he got the complete game shutout in Oakland, he was even saying things, I didn't feel like I was at my best today. And do you remember the game in Detroit when like the power went out and nothing was going on? There were no radar guns. Kevin Gausman even said, I bet you my velocity was down 2 or 3 miles per hour that day. And he threw a gem in that start too. So weird. Maybe I know this is not true, but it seems wild that every time Kevin Gausman's a little bit under the weather, he just seems to pitch better. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know.
No, definitely. Like, I feel like I've heard other pitchers like throughout Major League Baseball saying like when they say throw no hitters or something, and they're just like, I felt horrible in my bullpen. I thought I was going to give up 12 runs, and I end up throwing a complete game shutout or like a no. And like prime example, David Wells was still drunk in the first few innings when he threw his perfect game with the Yankees. Like,
and didn't Doc Ellis throw a no hitter on LSD or something? So like, pitching can't be that hard. These guys are
no, exactly. Like, just crazy stories you hear about pitchers when they throw the perfect games. And I hear like Gausman and like Francis saying, "Oh, I'm fatigued," or I felt like shit. It's like, you're throwing no hitters, like, or near no hitters is like, damn. I wish on my bad days I can do something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm. Then what is your take on Chris Bassett's start here, who went 3 2/3 innings pitched, gave up 6 hits, 7 runs, but only one of them was earned as Ernie Clement made an error and Chris Bassett himself made an error. My wild take is if that the pitcher makes an error, they should still be earned runs charged to the pitcher, but that's not how baseball works. Did not look too good in this start here. 7 runs total. What are your thoughts on Chris Bassett's start here?
Oh, well, it was a game where literally, I think it was like 300 and almost 390 pitches thrown in a game, and
the longest 9-inning game the Blue Jays played this year. 21
runs scored, and Jays score 8, and we still end up losing. This is just how the Jays are this year. Like, you score 8, you usually can win a game. Not the Jays this year.
Yeah, and I think some of this comes down to Chris Bassett too, is he's had, if you just go to his game logs and you look at it, he's had 8 starts where he's given 4 earned runs or more, but then he's also had like 9 starts where it's 1 earned runs or less. It seems like you're always getting one of the big swings here. It's one or the other for Chris Bassett. And, a guy who's getting a little older, who's never had the stuff to blow things by you. Like, when Chris Bassett gets hit, he's going to get hit hard. And the 7 runs allowed, like I said, it ties it. He gave up 7 to Oakland. He gave up 7 to the Dodgers. So one of his worst starts of the season here as well. I don't really know what to make of Chris Bassett. His ERA sits at 4.16 on the season. His FIP. Actually, no, his ERA in that start was 4.16. His ERA on the season is actually 4.6. No, it is 4.16. I lied. So yeah, right about there. Do you think, do you have a take on how Chris Bassett's going to look next season? The whip is so high. He walked a lot more guys. It's tough to see him getting better next year.
Exactly. And like we were saying, I think it was last episode or the one before, it was like he's on the wrong side of 30, even though, and just at his age, he doesn't have the velocity. He has to pretty much nibble on the corners and like just pitch the contact and hope for the best. Is like he's running out. I feel like the horseshoe is starting to fall down, and he's running out of luck right now with it, with not being able to like lower past hitters, or even just now this year I find his command's been even way off.
Yeah, it's interesting. His 176 hits allowed this season is the most by any pitcher in all of Major League Baseball. Now you have to throw a lot of innings to give up that many hits, but that's not a stat you want to be leading to. His 16 hit by pitches is the most out of any pitcher in Major League Baseball this season. He has thrown 157 plus innings in each of the last 4 seasons, but it's weird because he didn't break the big leagues until he was 25. And I think Chris Bassett was a reliever in college. So it's like, Are the innings catching up to him because he's thrown a lot lately, or maybe it's not because he was such a late bloomer? I don't know. We can dive into Chris Bassett a little more into the offseason, but he'll be a key part of the Blue Jays, so we'll have him here going into next season.
Oh, definitely. Well, it'll be interesting to figure out what this bullpen will look like or moves we'll need to make for this rotation once everyone's
Speaking
healthy too.
Of the Blue Jays bullpen, I don't love spending much time on this, so we simply won't. But credit to Chad Green, Eric Swanson, Genesis Cabrera, and Dillion Tate, who I thought looked good here in this one, and Ryan Yarbrough as well, who looked good in his 2 innings of relief there. I had this whole thing lined up about how I wanted to give Tommy Nance some credit. He had a 1.69 ERA, and then he gave up 4 straight hits and did not allow a run. Brandon Littell gave up a home run. Luis Frias gave up hits to you and I. Jesse, we could have got a hit off Luis Frias in this thing. He's now been sent down to AAA. Zach Pop got a big double play. Ryan Burr even has been dealing with a bit of a hip issue. Tell me something about the bullpen here, my guy.
Well, I was impressed by Dillion Tate. Like he did look good, but honestly, his velocity isn't what it was when he was with the Orioles. But the ones that like you posted a couple weeks ago or last week, this bullpen it has a -3 F4, and there's only been one team worse than that, and it was the Astros when they won like 51 and 111.
The very much were tanking at Houston Astros teams.
Yeah, the Astros that were failing to get like Correa and all their young guys when they were building that dynasty with Springer and that going. It's just this crazy thing. If we even went to just up their F4 a little bit and had like some of those blows where like we were up by a lot and we had those meltdowns, we could be really sniffing at wild cards or even would have been in contention possibly for like our division lead, like when our division is like if some of those close games we blew late, or even if we even had like the outcome like Cleveland is like you were saying before the show, like Cleveland's bullpen, that's 10 wins right there. So
10-win swing, and then if you get a healthy Bo Bichette and you add a good player that's not Justin Turner in this offseason, then the Blue Jays are a playoff team. So it can give you some optimism that the baseline for the Blue Jays team is here. Where you should probably spend a whole episode this offseason fixing the Blue Jays bullpen. Like I think we should probably add that to the list and put that in there because there's a lot of routes you could go about doing this for the Toronto Blue Jays. So put a pin in that, and we will give some thoughts on the Blue Jays bullpen going into next year. Jesse, 3 rapid-fire questions, and we don't have to spend much time on this as we're running out of time in the episode, but it's just a simple yes or no, I like this, I don't like this, maybe a 30-second point, but nothing too much after that. Ready to go.
Sounds good.
For the second base position next season, would you be okay with a platoon of Will Wagner hitting against right-handed pitchers and Orelvis Martinez hitting against left-handed pitchers? Would that work for you at second base?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to see if Orelvis can do it clean, but that'd be the only thing I need to see.
I mean, PEDs aren't what they used to be anymore. We don't think he was taking them to be stronger, but whatever. Yes, I agree. I would love to see that platoon. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it might. Next one, Alejandro Kirk, catcher number 1 next season. And will he start about 70% of the games, 70 to 75% of the games at catcher for the 2025 Toronto Blue Jays?
No, because I don't feel like he can be the one like true number 1. I think he has to be like a tandem, like 1A, 1B kind of platoon we did with Jansen before we traded him.
My only reserve I have on that is that the Blue Jays are going to have so much money to spend next season that spending $7, $8, $9 million on another catcher might not be the best move for the Toronto Blue Jays. So we might see Tyler Hienemann again, buddy, for next season. So just keep that in mind. And then my last one, and it's about Vlad playing third base. And we've got Spencer Horwitz still on this roster at first. We've talked about the need to add another big bashing first baseman or just a power threat somewhere. Maybe they go the first base route with a Pete Alonso, a Christian Walker, etc. How many games, just give me a number, do you think Vlad gets at third base next season?
If we don't sign one of those boppers we were just talking about, I'll say 30 games at third.
Okay.
If we do sign one of those big like insurance bats, I'll say he'll be there at least 150. If we don't,
do you think
we get one of those,
Do you think how many games would Vlad have to play at third base with his poor defense at third base before it actually hurts this team? Like, do you remember when Edwin Encarnacion was here before it broke out? He played third base and we started calling him E5. Like, what if it's like that for Vlad at third base?
Oh, I don't want to think. I was trying to erase those memories of Edwin, but thanks for bringing those up. Oh God, I don't know. Maybe if we put, I don't know. Like, oh God, I'm trying to put me on the spot right away.
It might be a simple situation of like when you need the offensive A lineup, Vlad plays third, but when you need the good defense, like Ernie Clement plays third, right? And maybe that's just the route the Blue Jays go about this. I don't know. The team's going to look very different this spring anyway, so we got that to pay attention to.
No, definitely, I can see that. Or like if you maybe like in the offseason we're starting like turns into like a viable third baseman or like a Rafael Devers, like a bigger body third baseman, but obviously
it's possible,
more athletic.
Right?
It is possible.
You know, I wouldn't say likely, but there is a chance. Hey, Davis Schneider became all right in the outfield this year, so maybe Vlad can take a step forward defensively as well. All right, Jesse. Leo Jimenez, who we touched about earlier, didn't get a hit in this series, but he got hit by 2 more pitches. And Fangraphs has wrote an article like the national media is starting to really pay attention to how often Leo Jimenez is getting hit by pitches. I think 9% of at-bats ends with him getting hit, which is by far the most in Major League history. Tough way to increase your OBP if you're Leo Jimenez. But hey, if you're not getting hits, then so be it. This will do it. So the number of times now is 30. If you take the amount of time he spent in the big leagues and the amount of time he spent in Buffalo getting hit by a pitches. So I came up with this fun little game that I want to play called simply what number is higher? The amount of times Leo Jimenez has been hit by a pitch or blank, and I'll fill in a stat, and then I want you to try to guess. And the audience back home, or for those of you watching live on YouTube, feel free to take a guess here as well on what you think is higher. You ready? It's going to be fun.
Sounds good.
All right, so the first one, and we did tweet this out, so if you've been following our socials, you might have seen this one already. But what number is higher? The amount of times Leo Jimenez has been hit by pitches this year, or the amount of games the Blue Jays have had leads in that they've eventually lost this season? Which number is higher?
I'm going to say I really hope it's Leo being hit by a pitch.
Jesse, it's called the blow pen for a reason. It's absolutely the games the Blue Jays have had leads in that we've lost. Leo Jimenez has been hit by 30 pitches. The Blue Jays have blown 33 games this season in which we've had leads in. It's been tough for that one. My next one here. What number is higher? The amount of times Leo Jimenez has been hit by pitch between his time in AAA and the majors, or the amount of home runs that Jose Barrios has given up this year?
Leo's been hit more.
Correct. 30 for Leo Jimenez, 29 for Jose Barrios, because remember, he had that stretch early in the year where he was giving up home runs like crazy. Next one. What number is higher? The amount of times Leo Jimenez has been hit by pitches this year, or the amount of innings Alek Manoah threw in the big leagues for the Blue Jays this season? He's trying to run some math right now, eh?
I want to say Leo's hit by pitches.
I don't know if you can hear that, but we've got the applause going because you are correct. 24.1, 24 and a third innings pitch for Alek Manoah in his starts there. And then obviously 30 for Leo Jimenez.
My math was pretty good. I had him at 25, so.
You nailed it, my guy. All right, 2 more. This next one. Leo Jimenez hit by pitches, or the amount of times Vlad has been intentionally walked in his career. Which number is higher?
Vlad has been walked 11 times this year. I'm going to say Leo hit by a pitch.
It's so close, but incorrect. It's 30 for Leo Jimenez. Vlad has been intentionally walked 31, I believe, in that Mets series was the time he just moved ahead that one. And then my last question is, what number is higher? The amount of times Leo Jimenez has been hit by a pitch, or the amount of triples that Vernon Wells had in his Blue Jays career? So Blue Jay from the mid-2000s, and triples is not a stat we regularly count. So which number was higher?
I want to go, since you're bringing hit up Blue Jay from the past, I want to go Vernon Wells' triples.
That was a trick question, Jesse. With Leo Jimenez getting hit by a pitch today, they are now both at 30. So no matter what you picked, would not have been right there. But very interesting stuff for Leo Jimenez, and it just goes to show that, hey, maybe getting hit by a pitch is a skill, and it's not the way I'd want to become a major leaguer. And good on you, Leo Jimenez, for doing this. But there are easier ways to increase your OBP. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, especially how hard the balls are coming nowadays.
That's right. Jesse, we're running out of time here, so just real quick, notes on the farm. Adam Macko is up to AAA. That's likely where he's going to start next season. He probably would have been there if he wasn't injured early in the year. Elvis Martinez hit another home run. The Single-A Vancouver Canadians season is over, which we mentioned last season, but they were handing out some awards. Jacob Sharp, RJ Schreck, Peyton Williams, and Brent Lavallee was named Manager of the Year. Jacob Arias made the High A All-Star team, so just names you should know. And a hearty welcome back to Peyton Henry, who had a very bad injury down in the Buffalo Bisons. Yes, we'll give him an applause here. But it is very good to have him back, as his injury was scary, but he's back playing baseball. Any quick thoughts, 30 seconds or less, on the guys down on the farm?
Congrats to all the All-Stars, well-deserved, but can't be more happy to see Peyton Henry back, because that was a terrifying accident that happened. And catcher's worst nightmare. So just seeing what happened to him in that game.
I could never be a catcher for that reason alone. That's not how you want to go. And at the end of the day, baseball's a game. You don't want to see someone's life get taken from them playing a game. So I'm glad to see Peyton Henry healthy and back on the field again. All right, Jesse, off day tomorrow, and then we go to the Trop. The Blue Jays never play well at the Trop. It'll be the last time we see the Tampa Bay Rays this season. I'm just looking for, probable pitchers. We're going to see Jose Barrios against Tyler Alexander, Yariel Rodriguez against Taj Bradley, and Chris Bassett against Shane Baz. What are you looking for at this series against the Tampa Bay Rays?
I definitely would like to see Class A in probably in all, if not all of the games, but 2 of the games at least.
Yeah, you want to see him
and just see. I want to see him get in there, just show that speed. I just want to see the kids, as the same, and let the kids play and let's have some fun now.
Right, we don't need to see George Springer anymore this season. I want to see Vlad get that 100th RBI because he's at 99 right now. Then set him down. But I want to see Loperfido just see if he can get his way out of this streak. I want to see if Davis Schneider can get some more momentum going. Let's get Stuart Baroa in a game or two. Hell, I don't think we need to see much from Luis De Los Santos, but, maybe Ernie Clement could use a little bit of a break. We kind of know what we're getting on him. So just throw these young guys in here. And at worst, if they suck, we get a better draft pick. And that's all that really matters at this point as we get down to 9 more games, single digits left on the Toronto Blue Jays season. So, Jesse, anything else to add? Anything else to shout out before we get out of here today?
No, definitely. Again, just check out our socials, interact with us. Definitely love to hear from you guys. And it's been a long season. We're down in the home stretch, 9 games. Let's see what we can do. Maybe we'll go on a 9-game winning streak. Highly unlikely, but let's have some fun with these kids and let the kids play.
Hey, postseason baseball, I've kind of liked watching it better when the Blue Jays aren't in it, because all I'm thinking about is how much of a mess I am watching the Blue Jays baseball in the playoffs. This will be the first time in 3 years we can actually just enjoy the drama of postseason baseball. So I am kind of looking forward to that a little bit. Happy birthday, George Springer. Shout out to Shohei Ohtani, who went 50-50 today, and all that other stuff that happened around Major League Baseball. And Jesse, credit to you for not taking off your shoe and your sock like Jose Altuve did in a game yesterday. So a lot of drama around Major League Baseball. But like you said, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere you can find your pods. You can find our show. Please make sure you leave a 5-star review, yada, yada, all that good stuff, as we got a lot of big things coming for us in this offseason. For Jesse Teresa, I am Jesse Burrell. We will be back to recap the Tampa Bay Rays series. And until then, let's go Blue Jays.
Thanks, guys.